to be here.
Cool. Question, does Draven get survival skills with spinning axe? Survival skills will happen first, then axe will resolve. That has gotten me multiple times. Password is karma needs buff. How'd you know?
What's up, people?
Hey, Mr. Kever.
Change it.
Kever.
Up, bro.
Chilling. Started Minecraft 2 Master 2 days ago.
Cool. This is going so much faster than the first time I tried to set this up. Do you guys remember that? So bad.
Unfortunately.
We and the entire rest of the internet remember technical difficulties to talk
Yeah, you're an expert now.
And then also BBG raided me when I was trying to get it set up with like 900 people. And it was just technical difficulties, the show.
Absolutely beautiful.
That was pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
Though I'm noticing typo in my Twitter handle on the picture.
Oh, I didn't type it out. I actually can't change that.
That's okay. I don't really care.
I don't know if we have quite the audience that people are going to be rushing to follow us on Twitter from this.
We're gonna update it soon, so we'll make sure that gets
I see
fixed.
someone else in here.
Wait, do we got? Wait, who's this guy? Wait a minute, we got a celebrity.
Shall we take push B spot?
I'll take push B off, yeah.
If there's no space to me, you don't have to like change your whole layout or anything.
I'll figure something out.
You're push B now. You're a seasonal champ.
Congratulations, you've been promoted to Yoshi.
I did tweet I'll win next seasonal, but we'll see if that actually happens.
See about that.
All right.
Yeah.
Is this the season of aggro, Nick? Is that how it's
No,
going down?
it's the season of not aggro. That's why I'm gonna win because I'm not playing aggro this season.
He's finally doing it, not playing aggro.
He's reformed.
Just ignore that it says push B, please.
It does feel good knowing that I can like queue up and not have like as many auto lose matchups. Like I queue up and I'm like, okay, this may be losing, but it's winnable. And other times like in aggro, it's like this is losing and I'm probably losing.
Yes, and it feels bad.
I agree with that sentiment right now for sure.
Discard is still pretty good though overall.
Yeah,
it's fun. It's
good for you.
I can't win with it.
I like it.
I mean, you play cards that your opponent falls over. I don't see the problem here.
Aggro is a weird week 1 effect where like for some reason week 1 it's like you draw twice as well or something.
Yeah, that's what. All my opponents have all 3 copies of Jinx. Like every time, it's just what it is.
Every time.
Can't get away from it.
On my way to Masters, I was like D1 like 60 LP and I lost to discard aggro Gnosis Thresh, which is a really favored matchup in my opinion. And I got high roll really bad and I was like, I could do that to somebody. And I queued it up and I opened like 1-2 Draven Vision Jinx like 3 games in a row. And I was like, sweet. I knew it.
Why did I stop playing this deck?
Yeah, it was versus Jason. It was versus Jason in the final game. I still almost lost. I was like, man, I lose it on top deck, get excited. And I top deck, get excited. And I was like, man, this deck's good.
This deck rocks.
Man, this deck's good.
I play discard aggro and then I just don't draw Jinx and my opponent has Solari Sunforger and then I quit the game. That's usually
when I play discard aggro, I get to play Farron, but you know some people are built different.
Okay, yeah.
I can't afford the epic.
What am I can't put Sky's Descend in his discard aggro deck?
Yeah, he would play Sky's Descend in discard aggro.
Me. We're gonna play Target Noxus. You see if I don't.
You would try. There was that Zoe Draven deck for a while that like went super wide and everything.
When I was joining this room, I thought I was being baited for a second because the name of the room.
Oh, yeah. So I think I made the name of the room like Sagandis or something. If you don't know what it is, just chime out in chat and I'll explain it to you.
Oh, God.
But yeah, I like to change up the room name and the password into something that makes me laugh. But I'm very immature, so it's always something dumb.
Works with me every time.
I love it.
I'm glad.
Do we have our second Jason showing up?
I don't know.
He's
coming
in, actually. You said 1 second.
Get that hot.
Nice.
Oh,
new haircut.
There was the time where I made the room name Pee Pee Poo Poo, and then Jay Sensational went on Twitter and like tier listed out a bunch of the Runeterra streamers and put me on Pee Pee Poo Poo tier. It's like, okay, bud. Thanks, dude.
Got it.
I mean, I believe we call that karma, and since that's your favorite champion, you should be down.
Yeah, that's true. You got me there. My Smurf name in the game is Please Buff Karma.
Of course it is.
I tried to make it Buff Karma, you cowards, but it was too long.
I mean,
Buff Karma or else.
Or
People have
else, yeah.
PTSD. I don't mind Karma when it has win cons. I just don't like playing against the win cons.
The Zoe
Ionia
Karma.
Targon and the spooky, yeah. Like as Karma, as like oppressive as it was at the time, it probably wouldn't be that way anymore. And that's my favorite Ezreal deck of all time.
I
just like
love
certain
playing
things about they just heal 10, and you're just like, I mean, I can still play, but you can visualize that you're not gonna win. But they haven't beat you yet, so you're like, well,
I can't concede.
I guess I'll
yeah,
cope,
yeah. It's like
maybe it draws all in.
You could.
Exactly.
Dude, I do that so many times. I'll be in a game and I'll be like, well, they have 4 cards, but if 3 of them are lands, and I'm like, oh wait, that doesn't work anymore. All their cards are good now.
Sometimes lands like, they're not lands, but like when I play against Thresh Gnosis, in a way, I think that like post turn like 7 or 8, the low costs are like lands because like Doomkeeper's useless, Fading Icon's useless.
Yep.
And I'm like, all right, well, if he just has lands, like I don't say lands, but
Yeah.
you know,
can we upload this to
Energy.
YouTube? These are uploaded to YouTube. If anybody has the link, Jason, do you have the link to the Runeterra Show YouTube channel?
I think they're gonna be uploaded to
the Mastering Runeterra.
Mastering Runeterra.
Okay, so yeah, check out the Mastering Runeterra YouTube channel. That's where these will be. So I just saw something interesting that Jason Florent shared with me. Apparently, there's going to be Runeterra events at DreamHack.
Yeah, we getting big.
That's
I saw
big
that.
deal.
I literally saw that on Twitter, like
is
2 minutes ago.
DreamHack online or is it in person?
Probably online.
They have both.
We don't have any
Yeah,
details yet. I think like the tweet is right. If you check, I retweeted it, but the guy only like straight up said, "Yes, there's gonna be like Runeterra events at DreamHack. We can't share more with you, and it's gonna be like later this year."
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
I mean, I know that.
A series of open DreamHack events leading up to a finally later this year, is what he said.
So Shadowverse had a lot of events like I think DreamHack too, but Shadowverse was a lot. They were like Shadowverse is smaller. Like Shadowverse is a lot smaller than LOR, like by a lot. I mean, it's bigger in like foreign countries, but
I've been to a couple of DreamHacks where they had Shadowverse events, and there were still like 10K, 15K like events with like 100 to 200 people. It's still very decent for a card game, and it's very cool. That
I think so.
Commons the sense of community, and like I do think that it would be bigger for Runeterra too.
Nick, you're
hey, we got the Jason.
Your camera is like going all staticky, and I don't know why.
My
It's
camera?
not your camera.
Nick turned into a
In the
snowman.
control room, it looks fine.
Yeah, my camera. I mean,
Refresh it.
Like,
Wow.
Refresh the source.
Refresh the source.
Wait.
Yeah, I don't think it's yours. I think it's
something
loading.
on here. I'm not sure.
I mean, I have like
OBS.
50 tabs open right now. So
Hey, we
There you
got
go.
we
I
got
don't know if
Jay
that matters.
Sensational.
Oh, it works?
We got all the boys.
So, yeah, get the hot tub ready. So there is a in real life event in November in Atlanta
Oh,
that I would imagine.
is it traveling time? Is it Runeterra land
I
time?
will be vaxxed and ready to go.
I will also be vaccinated, ready to go. Also, CDC
Is it
today
actually?
put out that if you're fully vaccinated, you no longer need to wear a mask inside.
Okay.
They released that today.
You still should. But
You probably should, but like,
Yeah.
it's a good
Out of
step in the
courtesy.
right direction.
But yeah, it's a good step
That
for especially if we're
announcement
talking competitive.
Do you even
events
carry your
wise.
vaccinated card wherever you go?
We don't have.
It's in your
I don't
wallet or
have.
something?
I have my like date for like my second vaccine card that I carry on me, but like I don't have a I'm vaccinated card.
We shouldn't get into this topic too much.
Yeah, maybe not.
Wrong direction.
Yeah.
Well,
The important
Steer away.
takeaway here is Runeterra land coming soon to you.
yeah. Okay. So
No,
what about
that's
this
it.
thing in Atlanta in November? I haven't heard of this yet.
I
Oh, yeah, me neither. What?
I know
What is
Dream-
The DreamHack
is,
event.
but-
It's on their website.
it?
Oh, that's
Right.
the DreamHack event. Okay, I just
Yeah, he
refreshed.
said like
It
there's
just, so it doesn't say anything about the Runeterra events. It just says like starting in November, like their normal schedule of events is happening. Like there's one in
Right.
Sweden, one in Dallas.
Well, that's good. That just means like things are getting back to normal.
That is
that's
good.
good.
I haven't. Good.
This is extremely irrelevant and not related to card games at all, but there's this one event near me called Super Smash Con for Smash Bros. I'm not that good, but it's near me, so I like to go. And I think it's like low key happening this year, which would be like the first announced event for like that scene, the whole Smash, which is huge. That events are reoccurring again, so I feel that might be like this summer might be the beginning.
Super huge.
Is there a Smash Bros event in Majin's bedroom at 500 subscribers?
Yes, there is.
I heard there was.
Familiar?
Yes,
Well,
there
no, there's
is.
not. It's a Smashed Bro.
Smashed
Super
Bros,
Smashed
different.
Bro.
Yep. Because
All right, let's officially start the podcast.
Yep. Okay. Do we
Are
have
guys
any
waiting for me?
on-topic
Oh,
things?
oops. Awkward.
If we don't have anything that we like really want to start off with, what I'd really like to talk about for like 5 minutes is what happened with MTG. Just really quick.
I'm down. I'm down. Yeah.
All right, go ahead. I'll check out for a bit.
Okay, so with Magic the Gathering, they put out this big announcement that's pretty much like canceling pro play for like esports for Magic.
It's crazy. They straight up, they straight up said that they don't want people to pursue that as a career. Like straight up in a tweet, like they're fine. They're gonna have events, they're gonna have things, but they don't want people to actually compete for a professional lifestyle in their.
You know what's funny about that? Like kind of funny, haha. I guess not funny, but I feel this game obviously Runeterra's been made for a long time. I feel the timing that it was announced was around when Hearthstone was making a lot of, I guess, subjective mistakes, and it's kind of capitalizing on that in a good way, I believe, because Runeterra's a great game. I just think that they're like, okay, well, if these other tournaments are stepping down slightly, we're going to step up. And I guess if I'm just kind of making a lot of assumptions, I'm assuming that, and they've also kind of somewhat said that Runeterra wants to be the big esport for card games, and I think it can be. I mean,
I've always said that Runeterra, the reason that we do so well, the reason that Riot has done so well with this game, is that it basically looked at what all of a bunch of the other really big card games did, like Magic, like Hearthstone, like Shadowverse, and said, here's the good things they did, here's the bad things you did. Let's get the fuck rid of these, and we'll have a great game.
Yeah, I agree, and especially with Magic, like they had a series of pros where in a couple leagues where the end goal was to make it to those leagues and to qualify to it, and that's how you make a living out of the game. And out of the blue, they just said to those people in those leagues, oh, by the way, this league is the last one that you're going to play, and then we're just canceling it. And they've maybe like worked years towards that goal to qualifying to
decades.
That specific.
And then you have Runeterra at the same time. Here's our first world championship this year. Like, get hyped.
Yeah, exactly.
It's coming.
That's
boys.
our time. Our time to shine.
So what I'm hearing is that LSV coming to Runeterra. That's what I'm hearing.
That's a competition.
I mean, he's just gonna keep streaming Magic. Like the big streamers can still make a living out of it, and it would be cool to see him in LOR. But I feel the most of the grinders, where I guess I would have considered myself a part of at some point in Magic, just got shafted hard, and it just like, it's fine. Maybe it wasn't viable, but it is still in the spirit of Wizard of the Coast, where they just, oh, by the way, we're laying it down on you now, after the fact, after people have grinded on it, and they've never done that with Runeterra. And
Runeterra is like the opposite.
Runeterra is the opposite.
Saying, we want, and also the thing is, some people are like, well, 20K prizes, or the 2,000 prizes isn't that big for like a world championship. But I also feel like I love the frequency of the events. Like, I know that there's like weekend tournaments every week, like you guys are having yours. But I think every 2 months for a 10K event is that's awesome.
It's a super good base.
Yeah,
it's a super good base that you can build on if you want, or just keep it like that and then see where it goes. See like what the space that the card game can take in the card game space, and
Just consistently the tournaments to work towards.
And when we told them that their format sucked, they listened. How cool was that?
That was cool.
I
come from Yu-Gi-Oh, where Yu-Gi-Oh's entire model is, we don't know why you guys keep buying our stuff, but we know you will. So we're gonna. So here, let me give you actually a quick insight on how good you guys have Runeterra. In Japan, Yu-Gi-Oh in America and like Europe is different from like in Asia. In Asia, they intentionally make all the broken cards really cheap and accessible to everybody. But in America, they realize they're like, wait, all these extremely hard, expensive cards to get, people will just pay like $1,000 in packs to get one. We're gonna make all the best cards super hard, like secret rares, so you can like never pull them, and then people just buy infinite. There was a time where there was a card in America that was worth $200 a piece. You needed 3 for your deck, and it was a secret rare, which is the hardest rarity. And then in Asia, it was one of the easiest rarities to get. So Konami like intentionally does things, knowing it's screwing people because they know it'll work. And Runeterra feels so blessing.
I worked in a card shop, and the Yu-Gi-Oh side of thing, where we needed to be in contact with Konami to under things. It was so fucked. Like, it was so weird compared to all of the others. So yeah, I definitely feel that.
Yeah, I love being able to tell people like, oh, check in this game. I'm like, Dude, people in my chat will vouch. They have a full collection, no money spent. Like, this is the place.
Mhm.
So pretty cool.
Best model. So what are your thoughts on it, Imagine, since you introduced like what's happening to the Magic Pros right now?
Well said.
Majin?
Yeah, you're muted. Like
Yeah,
if you're talking to us, you're
Yeah,
muted.
we can't hear you.
I think,
Sorry,
Majin,
I'm
you're
muted.
muted.
Yeah. I muted because I was clicky clacking.
There you go.
So I think the like worst part is I started talking about Hall of Famers and everyone was like, oh, I'm like, what? Is this a sensitive topic? So I think it's really rough what they did to the Hall of Famers, which this already happened in the past, but they were guaranteed like lifetime invites to Pro Tours and stuff, and with that, the guaranteed appearance fees. If you didn't know, Hall of Famers and certain levels of pros in Magic would get paid to play in the tournaments outside of the prize pool, and many of these like lifetime Magic careerists just can't do that anymore. Like all of a sudden they just lost their invites. They just said, nope, they're gone. Qualify like everybody else now. And like that right there was like, that was enough for me to just.
I don't want to be ignorant, but I feel like looking from the outside of Magic, it was only a matter of time. Because I feel like the land system is outdated. I know it's like kind of unrelated, but I feel like
you could argue the game has flaws where it's not going to move as well into a digital space as other card game could, and that's probably the future if you want to look at big events, even in live events, that at some point you need to have like a strong digital part. And I think what makes a card game is the fact that it's accessible on your device, on your like mobile device. You need to have like a mobile version that's cross-play with the desktop version, and it just opens a whole new user bases where like for example, everybody's in Asia. Nobody has like a desktop computer. Almost everybody has a mobile phone that they can play competitively on their phone. And just having that, and Magic now does it, and it took them a while to have the mobile version, but it's still very, very scuffed compared to like Hearthstone and Runeterra.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Part of it could be like the lens system and the way the game works. It just does not translate as well online as it is like in paper. I still think Magic is the best game ever, but there's problems.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's. I just wanted to like talk about it for a second.
Yeah. We get to talk about LOR drama.
Oh goodness!
I don't want to talk about drama.
We could not. We could also
not
that.
do that.
We just want to
one thing I don't want to talk about is actually that. I feel like my opinion is obvious, and I think most people share a similar. There's no point. I think it's a topic that everyone's talked about a lot, and it's just. I mean, you could talk 2 seconds for the podcast if you want, but.
We could skip.
We could skip it.
Okay, no.
If you want to hear about it,
I didn't get to talk. Hold on. I didn't get to talk about the Magic thing because I didn't want to partially, but like I was affected by it. I won a Grand Prix. I was qualified for a bunch of events that just got canceled. It's like, hey, I made the Pro Tour. Like, imagine, like, hey, I qualified for Worlds, and then they're like, or even like I qualified for the top 16 of Runeterra Worlds, and then there's like, yeah, guess what? Nah, you're not qualified anymore. Bye. We're canceling Worlds. There's no money. Everyone's paying for $1,000. That's basically what happened. I got screwed. But this is important. And Nick, you don't have to chime in. No one has to chime in. But I think it's important for the podcast and for everyone to understand too, because I think it's important for the community to know what's going on. But long story short, there's someone that's been stream sniping streamers aggressively. So basically, what they're doing is they're queuing into them because there's not quite enough people that play at the moment, especially at the highest tiers. It's a 24/7 game. It's pretty easy to watch someone stream, and then when they click play a game, you click play a game, and there's a good chance you'll be paired against them. And you can see their match history, and it's blatantly obvious that they are doing this, and that they are using decks that are good counters to whatever the streamer is playing. I had it happen. It might be the same person. I don't know if it was someone else. I had someone that was like just basically abusing the crap out of me, and like every other game for hours on end, it would be this person who's like watching me play, and it was beyond frustrating. I like lost my will to like even play or stream. It's like a terrible feeling. And before, it was kind of just shitty. It kind of just sucked. Just sucked the fun out of the game for me. But now the ladder is part of the competitive ecosystem. It's part of qualifying for Worlds. It's part of having a better start basically at seasonals. And so now we're talking about like the what do you call it? The
reward.
There's a word I'm looking for here.
You can say like
championship.
Worlds qualification.
It's the integrity. It's the integrity of the competitive scene which is being affected, and so now it's like real. Before it was like the ladder was kind of for fun. It didn't really mean too much, and it kind of sucked. But now it's the integrity of your competitive system that Riot really needs to take a look at these things. And so far, I don't really know what's happened, but that's what's going on, and it's affecting people negatively, and a lot of people have spoken out about it. That's kind of where we are at the moment.
I'll give my brief 2 cents, but only one statement, and then I'm not gonna do another statement later. My main thing is that, well, this is for me personally. I care more about my viewers having fun and me having fun than even I care about the World Championship. Because as you said, when you get stream sniped, I don't know what it is, but it just demoralizes you.
It just sucks.
You just don't. You kind of it's like a momentum stopper. Because usually my streams start really high energy and I'm having fun, and then I get stream sniped and I'm and it's hard to bounce back. You try, but I just feel like having to do that every day. Like last season when I went for rank 1, the dude sniped me so many times I had to put on a delay 10 minutes for one person, which is rough. And I feel, I guess the last part of my statement is, I think they will do something. I think it's the issue is that it's a new car game. So they're trying to figure out the protocols and stuff. I think they'll do something personally. I'm just hoping that, when and what it is, we don't know. But
yeah,
I also don't see any way he'll be qualified ever for Worlds.
Yeah, coming from Hearthstone, it always has been a problem. Maybe not as rampant as that one guy, but for streamers, it always has been the trade-off, right, where you can get sniped. But in Runeterra, ladder does mean more than it usually did in the past when we got sniped by that guy and other guys, and I feel especially in Hearthstone, it was never that blatantly obvious, where you can just look at the guy history. He plays a couple of games every 3 hours, and it's always versus a streamer. There's no middle ground there. And the way they dealt with it in Hearthstone, they introduced I think it was the anonymous mode where you could queue and people looking at your name can't see it, just says your opponent. And there's a lot of things that you could do to help. And I do think that in Runeterra, they should be doing something, but it's always super easy to make the argument, just stream with a delay. And I'm with you, Nick, where it just kills the fun for the whole stream, for yourself and for your chatters. It just, no interaction is very, very bad.
I have one more statement. You brought up a point. That's why I got one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I actually am against the streamer mode personally, which is kind of weird. I've talked to a few people about it that I guess they have experienced that. They're big streamers in the game that experience that. They say it makes a disconnect between the players and it makes the game feel less immersive. And the issue with the stream sniper is it doesn't matter if you have that, because he Q snipe. If someone looks at the thing is, if you're already in a game and someone sees, TTV NicMakesPlays, and they go actually look at my hand, that's something I accepted going into it, I guess. I mean, I somewhat accept this other guy, but you can still just win by outplaying them or covering your hand. But when it comes down to matchup dependency in Runeterra is pretty big. It's pretty tough. So I don't know. I think that honestly, here's what my 2 cents. I already said my 2 cents, but here's it again. I would just ban this one guy because he's so excessive. It's borderline harassment, or the degree is just so high. If you're streaming and someone stream snipes you, I mean, you're not gonna get in trouble. It's just part of streaming. it's just what it is. You hope people don't do it because it's kind of immoral and it's just wrong.
But if I play devil's advocate to that, and you say you should ban this one guy, and then that one guy sends a public statement and just said, I was just playing by the rule. There was nothing in the rule that was keeping me from doing that. Shouldn't we even agree with that? Guy.
That's not even entirely true though, because there is somewhat rules against it. It's this sounds weird, but you know how there are certain rules that okay, actually, I'm not going to use this example. Let me try. I was going to make not a political example. Let me try again. There are ways you can look at the rules in the game and you could say he's breaking them. It's not there's no rule against stream sniping. Again, borderline harassment, but the excessiveness of it.
It is in a gray enough area that you could make the case coming from the other side. It just said, I didn't see a clear things that tells me not to do that specific thing, so I did it. And if I'm getting banned for that, it's unjust.
What would you say?
I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm saying
I'm with you. What would you say, hypothetically, if he's gotten in trouble for it before and the rules have been cleared to him and they were cleared to him and he's been in trouble for it before and he does it again?
Ban him.
Then there's no discrepancy, right?
Ban 100%.
Yeah. Okay, well that's the case we're in. So.
Yeah.
Anything in general, Okay, I was just gonna say, it's kind of like with seasonals, where like there's like the issue with like the time stuff, where you just like drag on the game, and then like the top 32. I don't know if it was like a public statement or just in the Discord, for the top 32 players, but they said something along the lines of, if you see someone intentionally abusing the time system, let somebody know and they'll like look into it. So like they're definitely on the lookout for some of these more gray area situations. Obviously, it's hard to say. I guess a little bit more hard to say when the intentionally abusing time one, maybe. This issue is a little bit easier, maybe. But again, sort of gray area, but sort of also trying to look into it. So
yeah, and the problem, a lot of people are saying, oh, just cover up your like queue, and it doesn't really work the way you want it to. Like, so one, it like ruins the stream. I mean, for those of you out there who aren't streamers, there's a lot of us streamers, right? And any reason that like anything that makes my stream less watchable means that people will stop watching me. They'll go watch somebody else. And if every game I have to sit here and fake queue 6 times on a separate screen just to try to dodge one person who's trying to get me, it's like, it's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
Like you just don't do it.
You just don't do it.
Accept that sometimes you queue into him.
And
I feel it's a big issue to solve stream sniping overall, considering it's like an age-old thing that's been through like thousands of games and there's no real answer. But it's an easy solution to fix if it's one person of the severity and nobody else. Like if there are like multiple people doing this, then you'd be like, oh, okay, well we need to have a protocol for this. But if it's just one dude, it's like who's I already been in trouble for it, to my understanding before. Then it's just like, okay, well this is very clear. Like you're doing one guy and that's it.
Yeah. Well, I think what we would all like, and also for stream sniping and the time and things like that, and I think it's just gonna happen. It's coming into Worlds. We would want some kind of like a rule book that's more exhaustive and more definitive and more goes into more details, like the nitty-gritty details of like what you're allowed, not allowed to do, and that's just something that we don't really have, and it's okay. But coming into Worlds, where it's going to be like bigger competition and things like that, something fleshed out would be appreciated.
I think they will.
I do think they will do.
The game's so new that like
that's my call out there for them. Like I would like something very specific and everything super detailed.
I like here's the big problem, right? This guy is currently rank 4.
He was ranked 2 earlier.
He was ranked 2 earlier today. Do that 2 seasons in a row and you're qualified for Worlds. You're qualified for Worlds solely because you stream snipe every game. Like
they're gonna do something about it.
Do something
like I have no
about
doubt. It's the same with the rulebook thing Kevin said. Like I think they're gonna do all this. It's just the game's only a year old. Like there's no way this guy is qualifying for Worlds. He's obviously getting in trouble. It just when and how exactly, I guess. I have no doubts in what will happen, but that's just me being just the way I see it. I don't have a basis for that.
I mean, they fixed pretty much every other issue I've had.
They've addressed everything the community's ever said.
I think it's like, what's the worst that could happen? He wins World.
Yeah. That would be pretty bad.
He said that like in a way, and he didn't laugh after. And I was like, wait.
What's the worst thing that happen? He wins Worlds, and everyone goes, "Yeah, no, that's pretty bad."
That's funny. Wait. Are we ready to talk about the Zerirelia?
Yeah. Let's move on into actual.
I'm here for the meta. That's what I'm
here for the meta. All right. And Zerirelia. You go, Jit.
I was going to pose a question to everyone. So, like the deck itself is not like overpowered in the sense of it being like unbeatable, like a TF Fizz sort of thing, but it does seem to me like it's oppressive in the way that there's just like some decks you just can't play anymore because they just like snap full to it. So I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts. Is that the case? Do you think it's too good? Does anything need to be changed about it? Where is it at right now?
So
I think what decks like that though?
I think it goes in multiple different directions depending on whether you're talking about ladder or tournament, right? And I think this is something. It goes down to something that we've talked about a bunch of times, where I really wish there was a way that we could do 3-deck pick ban for ladder. But the way it's set up, Zerirelia is a very good deck because it is a hard to disrupt linear game plan. It's a lot like old Misfortune Scouts was before it got nerfed like 4 times. And it's I know she didn't deserve it, Nick.
No, I'm cool with it. I got my wins and I'm out. I don't mind. I just have fun.
It's a deck that is going to be very ladder metagame warping, while at the same time not really defining tournament metas, because it is very targetable. It's very soft targetable, which is one of the biggest things. You don't have to hard target it to be okay against it, but what it does is it pushes certain archetypes out of the meta very hard. It's very hard to be a kind of grindy control deck or a turn 8, turn 9 deck right now, at least on ladder, right? Because you're basically just going to get run over, because their answers to your answers are very powerful while they are still a linear deck. So I think the deck has a fine power level. I don't think it needs a nerf. I think the only problems that this kind of deck causes will continue to be caused by any top tier deck as long as we have the ladder in the situation it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, I
Drops
agree with that.
Mike.
Yeah. I agree with that general sentiment.
The lean
I don't think the deck is a problem. I've only recently, like a week ago, started grinding. Not even a week ago, started grinding for Master. I decided to learn Aziralia, and on my third game with it, I literally had lethal on turn 3, and with both champions flipped. I don't think I reproduced that once. I had it written down.
Did you like Did you like drop it into retreat?
Yeah, I don't even know what he did. Like
included a retreat and dancing droplets and flipping champions and double pairing students. I have it right here. I have it written down. It's so crazy.
I've never killed a single person on turn 3, and I played a lot of decks that could maybe do that.
Yeah, and whatever. Case in point is the deck does some explosive things and that are flashy and interesting, and some people, or at least what I'm seeing on Twitter, and people that like championing the deck hard, people like Yos with the most and Dryzut are very high on that deck and saying things like, "Oh, Trash Nash's matchup is not even that bad." You can the Shivanas and Shivanas Aesol, the Dragon's deck is actually a buy for you, like with correct play. And
that's not true.
That's not true.
I don't think they said it. I don't think they said it like that. I don't think they said it like that. But
okay, I'd say it's like a 50-50 matchup.
But it's like those kind of matchup are super winnable, and
the
that's a hallmark of it.
Winnable, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the counters are winnable, except like a couple ones. Maybe you could argue like spiders and what's the other one?
I don't think the deck has any matchups that aren't winnable at all.
Yeah.
Its worst matchups are, I think its worst is Year Burn. That's 60-40. Thresh Nasa's second worst is 45-55.
Okay, and that would be the hallmark of a good tier 1 deck. But on ladder, it can indeed feel oppressive to things like TLC, because TLC has not a good time playing into this deck, and some things are going to be pushed out. But it's just the way it is, and I don't think it's fair to argue to like nerf something from it. It's still super early, and we still have not seen any super major tournament, which coming up this weekend, like soon.
Boom.
So
I think it doesn't deserve the. Okay, well here's how I put it. I think the deck's good, but it's fair. Like as I think someone else said, the power level's not that high. I don't even think it's really that much better, if not better at all. I mean, I think Shyvana Aesol's the best deck. I think Thresh Nasus and Aurelia Zero tied for second. The deck is more impressive than people give it credit for. I guess there's two sides to it. I think people overrate its losing matchups. The ones they think it loses, it doesn't actually lose that bad. It can beat aggro, it can beat Thresh Nasus. The ones people think it wins, they overrate. They think, oh, it just destroys this deck. Like it has a lot of close matchups that are slight favored, slight losing, or even, and it's a pretty skillful deck overall, in my opinion. The issue is it's gonna be nerfed no matter what because it's oppressive at lower ranks. That's just like
I found the sequence. You guys want to hear it?
Yeah, really quick. And then I have a point to make after that.
Okay. Turn 1, I play Dancing Droplet. I attack for 1. Turn 2, he plays Landmark. It's the mirror. I play doubles pairing student. Turn 3, it's my token again. I play second Droplet. He plays second Landmark. So he played nothing. So that's fine.
I see
it's
where
still
he
crazy,
went wrong.
I played third Droplet. Recall my Droplet. Fourth Droplet. Put in Aurelia for 1 mana. Aurelia triggers. Play the Blade Aurelia thing. Attack with 2 swords. The students are now 8/8. And I attack with like 3 droplets and 2 8/8 students and Aurelia. And I just So that's
that guy probably thought he won too. He's playing the mirror and had
he's
like
double the Landmark that's good in the mirror. Like, oh yeah, snap keep. Just
lose hard. It's pretty great.
That was like my third. That was my third game with the deck. I'm like, okay, I'm sold.
Mm-hmm.
Sign me up.
So my point I had with the deck was that like the deck's gonna get nerfed. I'm pretty certain about that. The deck, like Nick pointed out, it's not nearly like as polarizing as I think people make it seem, except in like the case of like TLC or something where it pretty much does just stomp, in my opinion. But
it's not bad.
What I'm worried about is that they're gonna nerf Aurelia, who is by no means the problem card in the deck. And I see that a lot. I don't think Riot will do this, but I see this in my chat. Aurelia. Everyone's like, nerf Aurelia. And I'm like, please don't. It's not her fault. She didn't do anything wrong. She's not even that good
the win rates.
Please don't nerf Aurelia. She's so much of a fun card. Like, she has a bright
They see
future.
the win rates of, like, what cards are drawn. First, also, nerf Aurelia is apparently a league meme, but... they're definitely nerfing either Azir or Spark Student.
Yeah,
like, I could see that the other way.
Yep.
The deck will be nerfed because suppressed for lower ranks, but I don't think it's like that. People overrate the deck. It's week 1 also. People like it feels like it's been like a month, but it's only been a week.
Yeah, and I mean it's the same thing as Lucian Azir. Remember, everyone was like, "Oh my god, this is like too insanely good. We have
the best deck ever." Yeah,
and then you know, in a week and a half, like people just stopped playing it. But it is oppressive at lower ranks, like you said, and it also is incredibly there's a word I'm looking for, but essentially it's choking certain decks out of the format. It's like the litmus test for the format. If you can't beat Azir Aurelia, like sometimes, that deck is unplayable outside of tournament formats, right? I cannot play Lee Sin.
I don't entirely.
I does not agree with you.
Yeah, neither of you do, but like I don't like decks like that.
But
I do agree with you. I just don't think. Here's the thing.
It's not that good.
I do agree with Majin. I just don't think that that's ever going to be not true. Like, whatever is the highest percent win rate overall, whatever has the best matchup spread, there's going to be a top of the tier 1 deck, and everyone's going to want to play it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Couldn't we say the exact same argument of like oppressiveness and things like that with TLC last season, where I want to play, I want to play my Anivia deck, where my slow control deck that just 100%.
You want to play Anivia? Do you really never agree?
I know.
The difference with this deck is that, like last season, if you said, "Oh, TFIz oppresses things," it was literally a tier 0 deck that had like almost no losing matchups.
Yeah,
Aurelia Azir is
the format.
Yeah.
Just everything.
Aurelia Azir is just another tier 1 deck like Shyvana Ace or Thresh Nasus. It doesn't oppress anything. It's like it's not even the best matchup spread. I think Shyvana Ace was personally, but the point is, it's just another good deck. Like that's like saying like Lucian Azir comes in the season last season. This is oppressing TLC. It has to be nerfed. It's like it's not oppressing TLC. It's just a new deck that was added into the pool of the matchup spreads. It's like every new deck is going to influence the meta, and this one just so happened to be good against Lee and TLC, which is, in my opinion, I like that. But I think this deck, the raw power level in the matchup spread, isn't good enough to say it's oppressive. It's overrated. It's so easy to play a week 1 deck and lose to it and be like, wow, this is broken. But it's really not that broken. It's just it's a top 3 deck, but it's not that good.
Nick,
I think
can you
that
do me
a
a
lot
favor, really quick. Sorry, Jason. Can you disconnect and reconnect? I have to reset your feed every like 2 seconds to keep it from looking like you're static.
You're stuck in a snow globe, Nick.
All right, we'll get him back. Jason Stational, if you want to go ahead and make your point.
I'm not blocking my camera. Okay, cool. What was I gonna say? I think that a lot of people playing, and me too. Like I play like good decks, right? Like Nasus, Thresh, Dragons, whatever, Interrelia, and like Spiders and whatnot. And sometimes I lose. But I feel like I have the mindset that I'm supposed to win. But like if you're running like a 60-40 deck, you're still losing 4 times out of 10. And sometimes like I don't wrap my head around that just yet. I'm like, wait a minute, I should be winning this matchup. But I lose 4 out of 10 times. And that's like kind of like a disconnect between expectations and realities type of thing that I think a lot of players also might have when they're thinking about they're playing a favorable matchup.
Yeah, it's super easy to get caught in that. Like it's a fallacy basically where like, oh, I should be winning this, but you're only winning this 6 out of 10 times.
And another thing is I kind of compare Aurelia Azir kind of to One Mana Go Hard. In this, not that they're like equally powerful or something like that, but they kind of
is still 1 mana.
They're kind of like oppressive-ish. They're locking down certain decks away from the meta. They have a win condition that's like not that fun to play against, at least in my opinion. But
like
the
Go Hard is
difference here
oppressive
is
because it just beat everything. But Aurelia Azir only beats some things. Like
right.
every
The
deck
difference
has
here is
something.
Go Hard was like 1 card, right? With you know, it's packaged next to it. But like you can nerf Go Hard and you would impact like the power level of the deck, and like you can still play it afterwards. It's still the same deck, right? You can't really do the same thing with like Azir Aurelia. If you nerf like 1 card, well, first I wouldn't know which card that would be, which region it would be in either. But there's no like one card you can just like put your finger on and just say this card's like the issue, right? Or maybe you could, but there's probably like 2 or 3 cards, right?
It would be pretty easy.
But I think what's gonna happen is the deck is gonna follow the favor, and we're gonna see more interesting. Like if it gets nerfed, we're gonna see more interesting build with Irelia outside of just Azir. I think like she has potential, but now it's just so clearly better than everything else. Even if I was championing MF on day one, that I was like, MF's gonna be better than Azir. All right, it was not the case. I apologize.
That version is so you need to draw that. I don't think Aurelia's Azir is pressing anything, and the reason why is because it's the decks it beats aren't even out of the meta. Like TLCs, I play against that all the time. Lee is like pretty good. I watch EU streams, ton of Lee. There's master players that hit masters with Lee. I play against TLC is one of the most played decks right now at High Masters in my opinion, because I play against it like more than it's probably like in the top 5 most played decks. The thing is like that's like me being like, oh, TLC should be nerfed because it oppresses discard aggro. It's like doesn't oppress discard aggro, it's just a bad matchup.
Let me chime in on this
oppress everything. Like,
well, let me chime in on this real quick because we do like all of us come to this from the perspective of the top Masters players, right? And this is something that I'm seeing in chat, and I don't have the actual stats on this, so I don't know if this is true. But if this is something that is doing like 65-70% win rate at a lower rank, then it is probably something that needs nerfed, right?
It's going to get nerfed no matter what because of that. 100%.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is even if this is actually a totally fair deck, and I think it probably is, honestly, then if this is a deck that at ranks like Platinum, Gold, and below is just making it so people can't play other decks at all, then that is something that needs to get nerfed, because I think it's important to take the entire player base into account, not just us.
It's more important. Yeah, I agree. It's more important to value fun for the most people than the other way around. If you want your game to be to grow, like basically.
No matter how we look at it, it will get nerfed because lower ranks. What I find funny though is like, you know how aggro's broken at lower ranks? Aggro like destroys Aurelia Azir. It's like their worst matchup. So I don't get like how it's even doing that good, but I guess it's just hard to deal with or something.
Because if you don't know how to deal with Aurelia Azir, then they will kill you on turn 5 whether you're an aggro deck or not. I played that deck a bunch too.
Even if you're an aggro deck, yeah, I would agree with that.
That's true. Yeah, I mean it will get nerfed. I think that's like pretty set stone.
So what would we agree is we've been saying that a couple times in this podcast, the 3 pillars of the metagame right now. So the 3 decks that, if you're queuing on ladder and tournament, like we can talk about both, would be like the 3 decks that you need to keep in mind, build your lineup with it in mind, or build your ladder deck with it in mind.
Aurelia, Nasus, Aesol.
What's the tournament?
Get out of here. Yeah, that's probably mine.
Aurelia, Nasus, Aesol.
With TLC 100%. Being like...
So TLC is on the outskirt of those 3 pillars, is what you guys are saying?
It's not in the top 3.
It's like the guy I would probably
have 4 options.
I'd
put TLC in there,
or like not
it's
the 4th best deck,
good,
but like a pillar. Like
I don't even like it as 4.
It's not 4. That's Raven's probably.
I think TLC is really important to keep in mind because it's dropped a little bit because we finally understand it, right? I feel like we finally have a broad set of decks, even more than 3. Like you can put together multiple lineups that effectively target TLC, and you know how to beat it on ladder. Like we finally understand it enough that it's not broken. It's still a pain in the ass, and Lissandra needs to get kicked. Don't hear me not saying that. But I think that deck is really important to keep in mind, more because it consistently beats 2 of the top 3 decks than necessarily because it is the most powerful thing anymore.
People underrate it. Like the TLC loses 1 matchup, it must suck, and then like it just beats like the other 2.
Oh,
and also. Yeah, I've been seeing it so much more. Like this is a bit different because last season it literally just came out. But last season it started out 47% win rate. I remember everyone. I mean, my prediction tier list, like best decks, TLC Lee. Everyone was like, "Dude, TLC sucks. Like this deck is not good at all. Like it's tier 3." What do we know at the end of the season? It's the best deck. That won't happen again because Aurelia's here legit does beat it. But it doesn't change the fact that its other matchups besides that are like really strong.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking,
Thresh Nasus got a lot better against it. There's like it has a 4-3 for 3 now. It doesn't play like Withering Whale. It's like the matchup's a lot closer.
I actually think it's worse, slightly. Because not my version particularly, but like people are like playing boxes and
I think TLCs now they are playing more boxes.
I think everyone's griefing, but for some reason, even though Nasus Thresh just beats Aurelia Azir, people are checking for it anyway. They're adding like boxes and whales and stuff, which are like terrible versus TLC. And then also, this is why I think it got worse for ladder, not for tournament. I stopped maining Red Negation because Red Negation was only particularly amazing to me. Like, it's good for Bow Runner versus everything, but very strong and key in the matchup for Trundle Lissandra. But with less Trundle Lissandra, like when I ladder, I cut it. Now when I keep Trundle Lissandra, I'm like screwed. Like, yeah, I have more 3 health units, but they're still gonna win. So
I think I would agree. Yeah. And also Trundle TLC themselves sometimes are going to be playing more box, and that's a card that's super annoying sometimes to deal with while you're on the Trash Nasus side. But yeah, I agree with like things like Rite of Negation not being core or important with in Trash Nasus anymore, and it is very important in a TLC matchup. So it's probably even worse than it could be.
I think people are playing TLC to beat Thresh Nasus. Last night at like 4 a.m., I tweeted, "Hey, I got top 5 Thresh Nasus." Then I queued ladder, and then I guess 3 people saw that tweet, literally counterpicked me with TLC. They were right next to me in rank, and I played 3 different people playing TLC. And like I literally was like, they clearly are doing this either to beat Thresh Nasus because it is everywhere, or me. I don't know. It's probably just in general.
But now, if we're talking in the tournament sense, wouldn't that mean TLC is just still the best tournament deck?
I think it's
So
one of the best
Bannerelli,
tournament decks right now. But I would probably.
That's what I'm trying to say.
You're gonna play
have
versus
more
Thresh
than one way
Nasus
to
and
beat it.
Asol. You
Yeah.
just ban Aurelia,
Just
and
ban
then you
Aurelia.
just win. Like, you're good. You win. GG's.
I really
I
like.
think-
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think we have more than one way to beat it. Like before the Aurelia deck showed up, people were showing that they know how to target TLC, right? Like you can show up with a well done Overwhelm deck. You can show up with Deep. You can show up with freaking Scar Grounds. You can show up with TK Raka. Like there are so many different things that are very good at targeting TLC if you know how to play them and know how to tech them correctly. I think it's fine to have in a lineup, but I disagree with the statement that it is the best tournament deck.
People won't target this
I
much,
was
but
generalizing
it's still
mostly.
solid.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
I think that
solid
they're-
tournament deck.
The lineups I really like right now are like the 3 best deck lineup, which is like Aurelia, Azir, Thresh Nasus, Dragons probably. And then the other one I really like, it's like the ban Aurelia, where you just start with like TLC and Lee, which just like beats everything that's not Aurelia, and
not
then
gonna
find
jam.
something else. So like I really like those two lineups at the moment.
I have a big conundrum for tournaments. I guess after this weekend, it'll be easier to see people like to do. I feel like I can't tell if people are going to regularly bring Aurelia Azir or not, 'cause I think that the bans with that deck are kind of awkward, where like you verse like Thresh Nasus, Aurelia Azir, and then they can like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like Aurelia Azir fits lineups as easily as Shyvana and Thresh Nasus because they're so well-rounded. So and if you try, you can easily target Aurelia Azir because there's so many decks that beat it. Like I think aggro and Thresh Nasus are versus it, but I don't know if I'm going to play against it. If I play 10 rounds, am I going to play against it 8 rounds or just 4 rounds? So I don't know how like popular it is and how targetable it is. Like, part of me wants to target it because I like this card aggro, but I don't know if people are going to bring it or not. I think Thresh Nasus and Shyvana are like, those will be in everyone's line.
There's easy safe picks that are just good against.
Then walk me through it, guys. Why are we now is it just because it's Zero Aurelia? Like, why are we now all on board the Shyvana train instead of the Zoe train for Asol?
It's Aurelia. It
So,
blocks.
I'm not, but
If you look at
Shocker.
at Ace, I think Ace on ladder is still full on just playing Zoe.
Asol, yeah.
Ace is a freak. I dare you to try and win with that deck.
I think Shyvana's
I'm
better.
with Jason, yeah.
Ace
I think
knows
Shyvana's
what's
better in every
up.
matchup. I think Shyvana's better in every matchup, personally.
Ace is a
Every
better
matchup.
player than me with
Well,
that
it's
deck.
Shyvana's better than Zoe in the mirror. That's just been a thing that everyone's like mostly agreed upon.
Yeah.
Then you have then you have it versus for Aurelia Azir. It's obvious it has 1 health, so it sucks at blocking. And then the Fury is amazing. Shyvana. Then versus Thresh Nasus, I also think it's better because I don't ever really lose to Zoe in that matchup. Like she's not really a problem. But the issue with Shyvana is that deck approaches Thresh Nasus in like an anti-meta way, where it's like, okay, I have to have more concerted strikes and more hushes than you have Nasus's, and then you lose because you have no win cons. And Shyvana is like a beefy like board control card that you just stick it on the board, and then they just have to have like a removal for your Nasus and they win. But if they have Zoe, then it's like, okay, well, if you don't have Screeching Dragon, you just have Mountain Goats and stuff, and I'm just gonna kill you.
Why
So
can't we play Screeching Dragon and Dragon Mutant with Zoe? They're just less.
then you can,
consistent.
but you won't always have Screeching Dragon every single time on 5 every single game.
Yeah.
But if you have
Just don't have the
Shyvana,
power
3
on board.
Shyvana, 3 Screeching, you're good to go. You just have to have one of those 2, and then you have to have a Hush or a Concerted Strike, and you win. So I think Shyvana's better in every single matchup in the top 3 at least.
All right, I understand. I was just weirded out because like I didn't look for like a week, and then I looked back and like everybody's on the Shyvana train. I'm like,
Just girls everywhere.
Oh,
what
and
about
also,
my girl?
Didn't we just say this card was
BBG?
bad? What happened?
Yeah, BBG mentioned that Dragon Shell also allows for high rolling. I think we all have played Runeterra enough to know that high rolling is good, and just in card games in general.
Yeah.
So,
And that's a deck doesn't really high roll. Like, you know, you don't feel like, oh, I get high roll by Demacia. It's like a fair mid-range deck. But Dragon Chow is like the one thing where you see it, like Shyvana Dragon Chow, I guess Blue Sentinel, like, you know, Mount Go, whatever. And you're mulligan, you're like, wait, I could just high roll this kid and then like be super far ahead of the get-go.
And I guess there's a fair argument to make that Blue Sentinel is better with Shyvana's. It just curves so natural with it than it would like in a Zoe deck. I guess there's an argument to make. I
also think that Azir Aurelia, at least for ladder, is a popular enough and important enough matchup that it could warrant the change to Shyvana. But I think it's better in other matchups too. But even if it was like easy,
yeah, that's fair.
It's like you're gonna play it a lot, so it's not a bad idea.
I feel like I say that every like 2 or 3 weeks, but what about Draven?
Draven hit rank 1.
Yeah,
I think
every
region.
Damien took it
every
to
region.
rank 1. And
I think it hit run in EU also.
Oh wow.
It's
Deck's amazing.
I think the deck is like, it's like aggro. You know, week 1 there's a buff to aggro. It's same with Draven. It's like a super safe, well-rounded, has answers to almost everything deck. Like when I played Thresh Gnosis week 1, I wasn't maining Black Spear, and I didn't know the meta. I needed like the removal for like the Shyvana Aesol because there was no meta week 1. But like Draven just has answers for all kinds of stuff. So you play it week 1, and it's really strong. It's still like a top 5 deck in my opinion, but it had that week 1 buff where it's just like, okay, no matter what I play against, I'm quick.
I feel like it's 45-55 into like a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm just good with that. Like, still got a chance. Never
playing
dead.
Jund.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I've lost to Draven
Exactly
more
what it
than I
feels
would
like.
like to admit, but when I play Draven, I lose more often than I'd like to admit.
Dude, I think the deck's high.
I don't think I'm like bad with the deck either.
With Thresh Nasus, I have a really tough time against the current iteration of Easy Draven with like 3
Dude,
calling
it's so
strikes.
easy.
I find it really tough.
With 3 what?
That's my favorite matchup.
They play 3 calling strike made now.
Oh,
they
yeah,
all
fair.
mix it.
I had a
I think-
discussion about that.
It's just awkward
earlier.
when you like draw 3 Thresh and then you never want to play Thresh because it's just such a template thing.
So Thresh
And then
just
now your
sucks
hand
now
breaks.
versus them.
I
Versus
think
before it was
Draven's more high roller than people ever talk about.
Oh,
It's
it
not
is.
like a high roll deck you think
No,
about.
it
People
is.
they never talk about it. They're like, oh, it's a well-rounded like Ezreal deck. Like you can just stall. It's a
Tribeam, baby.
3,
Yeah.
if you're on Tribeam and Draven, you're like it's
You're
so
just
much better.
insane.
So people
You're insane.
Yeah, so people are like, oh, I lose with Draven. I honestly think it's just people never talk about how high rolly the deck actually is. Like,
So
it's not. You come to mind when you think of high roll. You think about
Let's talk about a real spicy deck, right? We got the vote of
Oh,
everybody.
okay.
forgot
Okay.
about
Are you
Ezreal.
talking
I know where
Matron?
we're going.
Yeah, let's
This
talk
Matron
about this
Cyprian?
new
Yeah,
That's
patron-
good.
You're all
patron
playing.
That's
giant
insane.
Cypria.
All right, here's my
That's
2
insane.
Yeah,
cents.
well, the Citriel deck is super fun. It's very nice. Like,
Here's my
It's
guess.
really
2 cents. It's
All right, let's
not
hear
a
it.
good deck. It's not a good deck. It loses to everything.
It's actually good.
Have you,
But wait,
have you,
no, hear me out.
have you,
Hear me
have you
out.
stacked your 5/5 into?
Let me just say my 2 cents. It loses is a slight losing matchup. It's not that bad to every deck except it just is the worst matchup for Shyvana Aesol, which is one of the best decks, if not the best deck. I think
Not
it
just
actually
Aesol, and it's actually good. I think it's actually good. This newer version is actually good against Thresh Nasus. I beat up Babe 3 times today, and I beat up like 3 people on the ladder with it. Never lost once.
Yeah, we
Crush.
We played it 3 times in a row, and like their stuff was just always bigger
Just
than my
donkey.
Nasus. I was like,
It was silly.
You know, like you
Well,
had to live life until you hooked Nasus with like a 24/24 match. I swear to
My
you, this
version
is the
is
best
different.
feeling.
You know why? Here's why Nasus is not like
A
the
bad
best.
version.
I've won the last like probably like 8 games with that deck, besides like when I got sniped that one time. And here's why. Everyone is just building Thresh Nasus, it tilts me, in a way that they're counter picking, like they're putting whales in like boxes and stuff for Aurelia Azir when you already beat Aurelia Azir, and then those cards hurt your matchups you actually need help in, like Shyvana Aesol and like I guess the Matron.
I got none of that bullshit.
So people are like
No,
sitting there like,
we're playing
man,
good lineups.
good last, right? Okay, well, I guess my statement stands. It counters the best deck, which I think Shyvana Aesol, which is a key thing. 'Cause I think it's their worst matchup. But I think it's slightly unfavored to Aurelia Azir. It's slightly unfavored to Thresh Nasus. Slightly unfavored to probably a straight.
You just make a 14/14 life linker, and then you just crush.
You shouldn't get
the
that
Azir
far.
deck so
You should be getting.
hard.
My deck is 3 Reaper.
How do they beat you, Nick?
3 Wings in the way.
How do they
3
beat you?
Curse Keeper, 3 Butcher. Like I'm telling you, you'll be dead before that.
Guys,
I played against Aurelia. I put a 7/7 lifelink. I chumped all of his guys.
They should homecoming. They can lead and follow. They can just lead and follow.
Okay.
I think
It's a cool deck. It beats
the
Shabazz.
The deck is sweet as is super. Go ahead.
It has chances to be really good. I don't think we have the right build of it yet. Like, I
That's
feel
true.
It's
like
getting better and better.
I feel
Exactly.
like the Matron plus Cythria is very good, and I don't think we found the rest of the shell.
It's exactly like when TLC came out, like Trundle Sandra. We didn't have the Matron version at first. We had like the slow control-y Ladros Atrocity version, and it was like just
Azir dies. Opens up some room in the meta.
When I play versus that deck, they don't make it to turn 8. I'm not trying to say like I play aggro, but even with like any deck, like I play Aurelia Azir, Nasus Thresh, like it never gets that far. They play one Hail Mary Radiant Guardian, and you just like save Homecoming or Lead and Follow, and then you win.
Yeah, that matchup's not good. That matchup's not good. I was joking.
Party pooper.
I mean, it is a good deck. You do bring up a good point.
It's better than I expected. Okay, the deck was like
It's a lot better than I thought.
the deck was dog, right? It was like bad, and then people added Shyvana, and all of a sudden I was like, I'm like losing this deck now. Like
Dude.
now it's like actually good. You add Shyvana, you add Screeching Dragon. Isn't it like fantastic? Not yet, but like that's a huge step in the right direction that occurred in the last like 24 hours.
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So maybe
I think it's tier 1. I think it's tier 1.5.
I need your
which is
update
saying
on
a
this,
lot.
Jason. Like you need to hit me up with that.
No.
I guess I can probably say it now. So I'm bringing it to Fight Night tomorrow.
Have fun.
Just
Yes!
dragging people with it.
Didn't Duckman do that and like lose though?
I mean,
Probably. I'll probably go lose.
he didn't go 0-2.
I lost
I'm
that
also
last
bringing
Fight
Easy Draven.
from Duckling.
Just because Bay said not to.
No, you needed to bring Teemo. You bring that deck in Teemo, man.
Yeah, you were
destroyed
chosen
the
to do it.
dragons.
It's
I
not
couldn't
too late to change, is it?
It's too late.
Oh.
Yes. Sorry to interrupt the lie. I talk a lot, my guy.
No, it's
But
fine.
I guess one thing I wanted to say real quick before we change topic. Remember when people saw 3-4 Shyvana with Fury and they're like, oh, is it a nerf or a buff? I think we can all safely say at this point it's a buff. Like,
Yes.
pretty
In fact, a buff confirmed.
Yeah, there's no gray area now. It's a buff. She's pretty good. Like no meme. It sounds weird saying that without memeing, but like
Unironically,
she's good.
just, like,
She's in a tier 1 deck. She's in another one.
She
like a tier 1
just
and 2 deck.
levels so much more now, and stays alive
I
because
love
of the
Shyvana.
Fury like health buff. And leveled Shyvana is a fucking house.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
dude, in those,
Jesus.
I've always thought her level up was so strong. Like even when I played dragons when she was weak, I was like, dude, if your level up is so powerful. Also, the 4 dragon package and Shyvana Ace was just so. Those 4 dragons are cracked. Like Shyvana,
They're all
Screeching
fantastic.
Dragon, Eclipse Dragon, Aesol. Like obviously Aesol is a lot better when you get the Eclipse Dragon.
Yeah, they're just very solid.
They're nuts. Like,
and Shivan is support that pretty well. All right. I buy it. I buy the Shivan hype. I'll play a couple games
give
with
it a
tonight.
shot. Give it a
but
shot.
not with Matrone though.
Oh,
I think Shyvana Aesol's the best deck, personally.
Hot take: Thresh is still better with Aesol than Shyvana.
Let's go. But no whales, please. No whales.
Are you still on? Are you still
I
on
think
the
it's
Thresh
cool
Aesol?
that they don't have whale.
I'm sorry, man. I'm on whale. You know I am.
I know. They always are on whale.
Are you still on Thresh Aesol?
There is a chance I'm bringing that to your tournament this weekend. There is a chance.
Oh, there's another deck we can talk about if you guys want. So when Zoe and Vi and Victor came out, I made like Vi Victor, Vi Zoe, whatever, and I built it. And I know Ruben has his own version too, but I think that deck. I know that one of I did amazing with and got master super early with it. It fell off a lot after the week 1. I think the deck has potential to be like a 1.5, even maybe tier 1 deck. The reason I think that there's a problem with the deck. So my version runs like all the 3-0s and everyone else runs all the 1-0s. That's fine. The 1-0s are great. But I think there are certain cards that need to be 3-0s. Like I think Mountain Goat, Ballistibot, and Zoe, you need to see like one of those 3 in the early game because a lot of hands are so awkward. You like star shit and get excited and you can't do anything. Hush. So I think people should if people start maxing out like Mountain Goat instead of just playing like one Mountain Goat or like anything that gives you the value generators, the deck can actually be reliable to be like a solid deck. I kind of want to see that come back.
So I gotta jet real quick, but I'll drop the 2 cents as Nick says on the Ruben pile real quick before I go. And Ruben pile, Ruben Zoo, whatever you want to call it.
I like it.
It's a good deck.
I think the deck is really good because it gets to jump into the slot vacated by Fiora Shen. And what I mean by that is not that it does anything like what Fiora Shen does, but it's a deck that has almost always between like 45 and 55 against basically every other deck that you can play. and it's usually closer to the 50+ range. It has a very, very flat matchup curve. It has a very high skill ceiling, and it does a bunch of powerful things. I think that deck is very rarely going to be a bad choice, which is why, honestly, I'm surprised I haven't seen more people running it.
Yeah, I'm agreeing.
That's my take on Ruben Zoo.
It's very
Also,
it plays good target cards.
Next week.
Thanks, Maria. Plays good PNC card and good target cards.
Yeah, I think that deck should come back. Like, if I wasn't doing well with Thresh Gnosis, I would just switch to that deck because, like, I just feel like there's more to it. I almost want to bring it this weekend, but I've been doing schoolwork and I haven't really been able to practice that deck.
Every time I play that deck, I just run into Asol and then go, hey, that's way better than what I'm doing. And then I lose.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, it feels bad.
It depends. It depends. But Asol, yeah, I think
my removal spells don't hit anything in their deck, in like the Dragon's deck. And then I just look at like all these like Mystic shots, and I look at their Eclipse Dragon, and I go, huh, like this sucks.
Yeah. Imagine. Hear me out.
Okay.
Irelia Lee Sin. Huh?
Why? What does that
sounds like the worst
Ionia.
What does that actually do for you?
I don't know. I just want.
You just want it. My immediate thought was I'm gonna run Karma with Aurelia, and then I immediately realized there's 0 spells that work with that. Not a single one. And I was like, damn.
You have her champ spell.
Which doesn't let you attack
twice.
Does
that actually work?
It just makes more blades.
Yeah, so if you put 2 Blade Dens 2 on the stack at the same time, what happens with Karma?
It just makes more blades.
Oh, you just attack with
like
4 blades?
At once?
Yeah.
That's kind of...
Or 5 because it's like your guy attacks.
So it's not it's not 2 different attacks, it's just 1 attack with
It's just 1 attack. Yeah, it really sucks.
I guess that makes sense.
It's unfortunate. Yeah, you could syncopate and go whoop whoop. So that's pretty sick.
it's like Brand Zoljan.
Counters itself.
Yeah, feels bad.
There's one last thing that I just wanted to talk about a little bit is the Azir Aurelia and Ezreal matchup. I don't know what are you guys take on it? Even with 2 or 3 calling strikes, I felt like the card, like the one exact card that just blows Ezreal every time out of the water is Syncopation. I feel like there's like nothing, there's no counterplay to it from the Ezreal side. And when I played Azir Aurelia, there was always, whenever I won, it always involved Syncopation on like something that was stun, on something that was trying to get killed by Culling Strike, on something that was trying to get killed by Flock, and it just felt like Ezreal couldn't do anything. So like, how is that matchup actually?
Well, I think most people straight up don't run Syncopation, but regardless, I think if you're running 2 Calling Strikes, you're griefing, because I feel the matchup is actually pretty heavily defended on Calling Striking Azir, and I think if you don't have Calling Strike for Azir, it's a hard matchup. Like
but if my only job as the Azir Aurelia player, like say like the matchup gets developed a little bit more and people start playing with a big macro plan in the head, is my only job is to not get my Azir Calling Strike. I can do that. Like I can wait on the Azir to have lead and follow, to have retreat, to have syncopation, notify. So
at the same time, you don't always have Azir in general, and I think that card's like make or break in that matchup because Aurelia's not scary in that matchup. Darius is like, it's good, but it's not Azir.
You need something else with it,
the game I won involved like a Darius, yeah.
Draven's a great blocker in that matchup. You can also safely level him and put on a lot of pressure, so that you can like 2-turn clock them. So I feel. I guess my quickest analysis is that if you're only playing 2 Calling Strike and Ez Draven right now, you're hurting yourself a lot. But if you play 3, you're not always gonna have when they have Azir, but at the same time they also won't always have Azir. So I'd say it goes around 50-50. I don't think
I feel like this matchup once like it gets more played, it's not gonna stay the same anyway because Azir is gonna get nerfed, right? But I think in the long run, with correct deck building and play, Azir Aurelia would maybe come out slightly on top. But
it's a better deck overall.
It's not like that right now.
It definitely does a more powerful thing, that's for sure.
I never really liked Calling Strike up until now because I thought it only hit Thresh. But like without Lucian Azir, they don't have as many Shapestones or like Sharp Sights, whereas they can't really protect their Azir as much. So Calling actually hits a little bit more.
I've been seeing people cutting Inspiring Marshal. I'm not a fan of that. I do not like that move.
Okay, wait, can I explain? I'm talking about me or in general, but
yeah, go ahead.
I cut
Explain
it.
yourself.
So people like to flame people. This isn't like you. I'm gonna go to why I added it back. I'm gonna go to why I added it back. But like, so I don't like usually say like my things I do because I think people are afraid of like what people think about people. What I mean by that is that if you make a deck, you take a deck and you do something weird with it, people like flame you. Like I think they just want to be right. They're like, oh, why don't you play this? I play like that must be wrong. So I like test a lot and just don't talk about it. But when I did cut Marshall, because I do like every deck off stream. I just like take all the cards I think could not be core and I cut them. Like I'm playing right now 0 Spirit Leech and Thresh Gnosis. So I tell people that no, because I'll get flamed, but I am. But I cut Marshall just to see what happened, and I won 10 in a row. I realized after that Marshall's I still think good because you can't always draw 0 dice and stuff like that, and you need a way to win in those hands where you have like the lead and follows and like Sparring Student lead follow duo. You need to draw into things, but drawing the dice or 0 is too late. Marshall's one of the only cards you can have like a bad or a weaker hand and then draw into later and still win if they don't have an answer for it. So I think you need at least 2 Marshall. 3 might be bricky, but I can even still see 3. So yeah, I'm with you. I agree Marshall should be in the deck. But the reason people are cutting it, I think, is probably because I said, hey, I went 10 in a row without it. I don't think it's right.
Okay, imagine then. Can I play 2 Marshall? Because whenever I draw 2, it's not good.
Yeah,
I'm playing 2 right now.
Yeah, I play 3 because
You
I
wanna see
mulligan
one
them out of my opening, but I want to draw 1. Is why I play 3.
A Yu-Gi-Oh! For Dummies rule of thumb in deck building. The reason I say it for Runeterra is that I think Magic you play 4 of each card,
You play
right?
4,
Or no?
yeah.
4, and then Hearthstone's 2.
But 60 deck total, so it like
It's 60 deck.
kind of
Yeah. So in Hearthstone it's 2, in Magic it's 4. There's like obviously way more deck building than this, but if you're like new to Magic, like say or Yu-Gi-Oh, it's like, hey, I'm just joining Yu-Gi-Oh, how do I know my ratios? 1 is if you have 1 up, it's usually a top end, or in Runeterra's top end, but in Yu-Gi-Oh it's usually a 1 up searchable card. 2 is you want to see 1 a game. You never want to have 2 in a hand. You just want to see like 1. And 3 is you want to see as much as possible. I think Marshall is pretty good for a 2-drop or a 2 of because you only see 1 a game and it costs higher, which means you have more time to see it. That's very important with the deck building for me is like, how much time do I have to see this? Like a 0, you need to see it on, you get max value see it on 3. A dice, you get max value see it on 2. Marshall, although it's a card you want to see a lot of time in most games on 5, you have time. So I think 2 is perfect. Or you can still run 3. I wouldn't run 1 though. I either go 2 or 3.
I think you need
exactly the kind of card that running 1 doesn't make any sense. Like Syncopation, for example. Notify, you can run 1, but like Marshall, like it's 2, 3, or 0. Like I don't think 1 makes any
sense. I think the justification for 2 is pretty good. There's not too much draw on that deck, but at the same time, you don't need Marshall to win. It's not like a card where it's like, oh, I have to see this on 5.
No.
It's like it's good to see on 5.
It's literally just your other copies of Azir because you can't draw a 0 all the time.
I also think there's a lot of scenarios you can't win without as Marshall. I'm not talking about Scar Grounds where it's like you can't win. What I mean by that is more so the weak hands. It's like you literally have no draws in the deck to win the game.
Yeah.
But with Marshall, you have draws to win the game.
Yep. And your Marshall makes like your Aurelia like actually scary, even if you have nothing else, which is kind of big because Aurelia.
I guess that's how. Yeah.
If you don't have like other things to pair with Aurelia and you just play Aurelia, she sucks, man. She like doesn't do anything. You're like,
I guess that's how you win without Azer is Aurelia Marshall usually, or Marshall Dias is like, but like most of the time you need Azer to win, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I played a lot of mirrors where we both drew awkward, and it's like kind of a rough start. Neither of us hasn't going, and then one else on 5 is Marshall, and one doesn't, and they just end up winning.
Game's over.
It's like kind of tilting because even if they draw like a Dias on 5, it's like what I was saying earlier, kind of reiterating. They draw Dias on 5. That's obviously a good draw. You probably still want to see Dias on 5 because you can do other things you're going to that turn. But it's not like you're going to win because you draw Dias on 5. You draw Marshall on 5. That's like the rest of the game. Like you can't really deal with that Marshall. So
Definitely,
it's pretty good.
Homecoming.
I do like Homecoming.
3 of.
God, I'm so glad we can finally play that card and people stop making fun of me about it.
That card is so.
Yeah. No, I love that card. I play Trial for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I won seasonals with that card, and people still made fun of me for playing it in decks. They're like, "Bro, why are you playing Homecoming? You're trolling." I'm like, "Come on, man, just let me play this card."
We played it in our seasonal top 32 deck. Imagine it was good.
Yeah, it's good.
It's literally crucial in every matchup. It's versus Shyvana Ace, you need it for the key turns, whether they have Radiant Guardian or a Strike or something. Yeah. You need it versus Thresh Gnosis because that's actually the most important one.
Yeah.
Without it, like 2 to 3, like the one slot of having 2 Homecoming versus 3 will change the match percentage probably by a few percent. So I think you really want 3 because that matchup's super popular, especially for ladder.
That would agree.
The Mage Throne deck, that's like the only way they beat you is Radiant Guardian or like the Scourge combo with Mass Mother. You need that. I think versus aggro, one of the only ways you win is if you mulligan for like a strong early game, especially Sparring Student to have like high defensive block. Or like I guess Duke helps too. And then you Homecoming on their key turn. Usually you're still favored. I think aggro is the worst matchup for Aurelia, but you still win if you just like they don't have like the second decimate, and then you have homecoming for their push. And then you get to kill them, and then you win.
That's always what it is. I always can survive the first decimate, but the second one always gets me. I'm like, okay, as long as they don't have 2, I win here, and they always fucking have it.
But sometimes they only have 1, and then they go for a push, and you're like, homecoming. Then they have no win cons, and you just kill them. So,
anyway,
so anybody has an hot take that we have not talked about yet? LOR hot takes?
I've seen varying amounts of caretakers and wind in the wave in Thresh Gnosis.
Yeah,
and
that's
I have no idea which one is good.
I run 2 and 2, which hurts because I love caretaker.
Kind of into that. Caretaker's just such a sick card.
And 3 merciless hunter, right?
Yeah, and 3 hunters.
But it sucks for some things.
Like
Especially
Aesol.
Yeah, the thing is, dude, when Aesol was running okay, there's actually a whole other thing, like Mountain Goat versus Blue Sentinel. But when they run Blue Sentinel, it's so much weaker because the 1/1 stat line not only pushes less damage, but it trades worse with like more Blue Sentinels later. But the sapling doesn't kill it, and then you can't even trade the caretaker with it. So it's just really rough. And I think you need caretaker, or it's not that great. But not just Thresh, I think caretaker is one of the main things that makes you so favored versus aggro. If I play versus Discord aggro or like really Azir, and I play caretaker, I'm so far ahead. Like they're trying to aggro me, but I'm like ahead in the Smork race, and I have a better win con. That's more reliable. So I just feel you need to at least, like, you want to see 1 a game. Before it was like, I want to see as many as possible. Yeah. Now I just want to see 1.
But now we also have the hunter that can play sometimes a similar role, so I'm down for 2 character. I don't think you should put more than that, especially since the card got nerfed. It's a little bit worse. You have more things to put in that slot. But yeah, it is also sometimes part of your completely nut draws where like you just roll over people and it does the thing that no other card will do in that deck.
I think 2 is also really good because like before you ran 3 to try and see it on 3 as much as you could. But caretaker is actually pretty important matchups outside of turn 3, especially the mirror when you want to like hook away their like Thresh Analysis, push with yours for a game. And not having that, like, isn't that great? They play Merciless Hunter, and then you can just play another card that costs like a 3 attack. But if you play Caretaker, it's two sapling hookers in 1 action, and they can't play 2 more blockers. And you usually already have like maybe a Thresh, so it's pretty important, I think, to run 2. My hot take is that Shiv Aesol is the best deck, and I'm trying not to tweet about it because I don't want anyone to like start playing it more. But I know it's popular, but like I think it's actually just definitively better than everything else. Its matchup spread is all even or favored except for like versus Matron, which is like not that popular, I guess.
It's definitely quite good. Definitely good.
People are playing Thresh Gnosis on ladder a lot and Aurelia Azir, but Shiv Aesol is just better matchup spread. Like it goes even versus Aurelia Azir, but Aurelia Azir actually loses to things, and Shiv Aesol just doesn't really lose to
All right, invest in dragons now.
Stonks.
Got it.
I don't want people to know that. I hope they don't play it, but I think it's the best.
Yeah, we'll wait till we
that's
put
good.
it on YouTube.
I want to talk about Caretaker real quick. I was like, people came in my chat were like, yo, I'm playing like 1 Caretaker with a 0 Caretaker, and I'm like, you're nuts. You're absolutely nuts. I love this card. I love it all the time. And then I started playing a version, and I just didn't realize. I don't know if it's playing 1 or 0, but like I'm pretty sure it's 0. I don't think I've seen Caretaker in like 50 games, and I just like forgot. Like I just been crushing. I just been absolutely crushing, and I was like, all of a sudden I was like, I haven't seen Caretaker in a while. And
what's up with that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just gone and haven't missed it. And I've gotten some really awkward spots when I did have it. So I do that too, I don't know.
Oh, I saw something.
Yeah,
I saw something in chat. Poor Zillion, dude. Yeah. I had so much hopes for that card.
To finish Caretaker real quick, I think that you can pick your speed of Analysis Thresh. That's why it's so good. You can go very fast, which I like. Medium, which is probably what Jason's playing. It's like not slow, but doesn't run Caretaker. And then there's like actually slow with like Whale and Box. I think medium without the Caretaker is pretty good actually. If you run like the Wings in the Wave. So yeah. But yeah, Zillion. Here's the weird thing with Zillion. People, when like a Tom Rocket situation comes out, the arranged marriage they say, where it's like these champions clearly are meant to work with each other. They don't like that much. And then we have like Zillion, who's like the opposite, right? Where like there's no set in stone deck for him. You just have to like put whatever you want.
Don't look at like Azir with Aurelia and you're just like, oh, okay, or Tam.
Yeah, exactly. So we had the opposite. This is what people wanted, was Zillion, where he just like can go and multiple different stuff, but then he like isn't that great. I feel it's inevitable he will be in something because of how good Predict is.
Yes.
I guess it depends on what the time bombs are. Because I think he's fine. 1/4 stat line's pretty good.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. But have you played him? Like I played probably like 25 games with him. He fucking sucks. It's just like a bad card.
So,
And I
so
wish
what
he
deck?
did.
He fucking soft unless he flips.
It doesn't happen.
Dude, his
It
flip is good.
It doesn't happen.
I
And then,
realized that he has to see 2 time bombs
Yeah.
go off, and I was
I mean, I flipped him 3 times. I've lost all 3 games.
Player diff.
Yeah. I thought he would be bad on release.
Either, right?
When I saw him, I thought he'd be bad because the thing is like he's good individually-ish, but there was enough to go with him. So whenever people asked me about a Zillion, I just avoided the question because I didn't think he'd be good. Turns out, when I tried to build him, there was one deck where I was like, okay, this could be good. It was just like the Zillionasus Thresh with like boxes and whales. But the way I looked at it was like, this is just like an anti-meta deck that will be good versus decks, box and whales, good versus, and bad versus decks that box and whale, bad versus. So I was just like, why am I even playing the Zillion deck?
Why do you have Zillions? You just play other
like
cards.
why am I?
Exactly.
I should just play well around the deck, like Nasus Thresh or Shivasal. Like, why am I targeting something like on
and
my
there's better box whale decks. You know,
yeah, exactly. Like there's Lasana Trundle. So like, why am I playing
Can we buff
Zillion?
him then? Can we buff my boy? My Z?
I think we need to wait for the rest because people are hinting towards another predict type champion with time. I don't know the lore.
Yes. There is a champion, Jason.
I think I'm muted,
talking,
Jason.
and he's muted. But there is a champion that is coming out that has to do with time, and seems like a match made in heaven if you play
my boy.
League at all. So we'll see.
I was saying that I think he should be left to he sees 2 time bombs enter play.
That could be cool.
Okay.
And right now it's 2 time bombs that have gone
They
off.
gotta blow up.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Well,
So it's the next turn he levels, and then the next turn you get all the cards back. So it's like Jesus,
My only
forever. They have they have a year to kill him.
4LW, insanely good Brazilian player. I played against like almost everybody on ladder many times. I think he's one of the best in the game.
He was the first.
He's been playing Zillion.
He was first to Masters.
Yeah, he was first to Masters worldwide. He's been playing Zillion low key. Like I haven't played against him recently, but I just see him randomly on stream like playing for someone with Zillion. I'm like, this guy's gonna crack the code, and we're all gonna think Zillion's broken. I'm just waiting. So I don't want him to do it. I'm afraid of them buffing him because I think ProW is gonna find something.
I don't think you can buff him, or he honestly just becomes too good of a 2-drop. He's already a decent 2-drop, but he's like a shitty ass champion.
I gotta hit him up and then get
that sweet
next
tech.
season.
What are you gonna do? Make him like make him a 2-5 for 2? That's just really good.
You guys want to talk about a casual thing that, or it's a cosmetic thing kind of, but it's coming in a week.
Skins? Are we talking about skins?
So in the 19th, we are getting not only skins, but a secret event with an event pass. We don't know. There's like speculations. It's a project event. I don't play League, so I'm not hip with the
it's gonna be Project or Ruination, almost assuredly.
It's like last time what happened with the KDA, I'm assuming.
Yeah, exactly. We're getting a pass, we're getting probably boards, but we're actually getting champion skins, apparently confirmed. We all agree their cards are better if like they have champion, like they're more powerful, you know.
Yeah,
you install them when you want them, pay to win, etc.
Well, will we get new animations with the skins?
That's what I need to know.
That's a good question.
If I buy, I'll spend $20 a skin if you give me alternate level up animations with.
Oh, dude, like you would take all my money right now.
But if you don't, if it's just like a new like PNG on top, like pasted on top, I don't know. I'm like my excitement, like
I'm down for whatever.
But
I haven't created a foil card since they came out.
I do not
really.
I made Zoe.
Dude, don't start or do if you want. Once you start, like once half your deck's foiled, it just looks wrong.
And you just have to foil
my whole deck.
I'm with you, Jason. I still have all my prismatic. I've never crafted one. Right now, I'm at where do I even see that store?
I don't even know.
It's top left next to shards. They might make it so you can use skins on Prismatic Essence. They probably won't, but they are cosmetics technically, like card styles.
Yeah. One thing we might see, I know you don't play League, Nick, but how League of Legends skins work is that they have like different tiers of skins. So some skins are basically just like recolors with like a little bit of cosmetic changes that makes them like look something different, and they're like pretty cheap. But then other skins completely change how the character walks. It changes their back animation, changes their voice lines, changes the way their skills look. Like it's like basically an entirely different character, except for the way it plays, and those cost a lot more. So we could see something like that, where the first couple are just basic color changes and stuff.
I want a skin that matches a board, so I can have the whole. Like I like having the whole thing. Like you know how I said like the Cupcake Oro with the Spirit Blossom board. If I get like a Spirit Blossom Thresh, then it's like Spirit Blossom Thresh with the cupcake with the board. Like you know,
Spirit Blossom Thresh.
Yeah.
That's a good.
I have like 3K. I have like 3K shard. Is that good?
Yeah, what?
3K prismatic.
Yeah,
Oh, I only have
That's a lot.
2K.
I think I'm somewhat up there. I only crafted one prismatic champion. That was a Felios, and I haven't touched my shards.
I also
Mistakes.
have one more casual happiness I have with Runeterra that happens a lot. I love how frequently the chests upgrade. I feel like it's like I don't know if I'm lucky,
It's
but I get them like
10%.
every time. It's only 10. I
Mhm.
get it. Did I get it like every
I
single
don't-
time?
But yeah,
It's-
it
it's
feels
ten,
like
but
it's
you-
really common.
It's 10, but you open 3, right? So it's gonna happen like 1 every 3 weeks in theory.
No,
You're
but wait. You know how we got 3 epic prismatic like chests for
Mhm.
like the hitting masters? 2 out of
Oh,
3
I-
of mine became champions.
I hit champions too. I hit champions 2 times.
Damn,
Dude,
you guys
isn't that
are lucky.
crazy?
I did that the first time. I had 2 out of 3 the first time, but then I had 0 the next time.
Dude,
My
I love
Nautilus
it.
is
I had
locked
1.
and ready to go if I ever play deep.
I only had one epic upgrade to legendary, and by legendary I mean champion.
What champ did you pick?
I got Lee Sin. It was Lee Sin, Gangplank, and X. Forgot.
Yeah, fuck those guys. Take me.
Jason Flores
I have
upgraded today, and he almost didn't pick Karma, and I was about to like riot. It was like
They're like the
Darius
end
and
of
Karma
Mastering
and something
Runeterra.
else, and he like hovered Darius. I was like, "Don't you fucking do it!"
I asked my chat, so I was gonna fully prismatic Thresh Gnosis,
Mhm.
but this is when the Thresh Gnosis just started, like BGs just started playing it. So I was still playing Kindred, and I was like, all right, chat, do I do Kindred or Thresh? And everyone's like,
Oh,
oh,
that's
Kindred.
old.
Mm.
So now I have a
ago.
prismatic Kindred just like sitting there.
Yeah.
I paid real money for it.
Oh,
So they voted
man.
for it, and I'm just
Oh.
like, my whole
Wow,
deck is
that's
prismatic
bad.
with Thresh Gnosis besides Thresh.
It's
How much
almost
does
as
it-
bad as having an Aphelios prismatic.
Yeah,
How much does it
right.
cost? Real money to prismatic and champion? Do you know
a
off the
few
top of your
bucks,
head?
right? It's gotta be only a few
Like
bucks.
worth it.
5,
It's-
7.
The
Probably.
thing is, once you start, you can't go back. Like you get a taste for it, and then it looks wrong when yours aren't.
With
bad.
Magic, I always like to have my
I'm in
entire
deep.
deck non-foiled, and then I like to have like one card that's like a one of, or like the particular win condition foiled out, like the combo piece or something, right?
That-
Like,
that
Imagine
is super-
Exodia, but
that's
only like
super
the body
sketchy.
was foiled.
I'm gonna tell you, that's
That's so
sketchy as
ugly.
fuck.
Dude, my deck.
Oh, because I can find it.
it's all
Yeah.
common.
I get
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? We've been going on for almost an hour and a half. Anything we want to touch on real quick?
Let's
before we end
wrap
here?
it.
Want to wrap it up? Get back
Thanks
to
for
playing
having me,
some
guys.
games.
I
Everyone's
know.
playing our tournament.
I know
Yeah,
I
it was
talk a
super good.
lot, so thanks
This
for having
weekend,
me.
this
good,
weekend
yeah.
is happening,
So we
right?
invited
Big
for.
tournament this weekend.
Yes, our tournament, Mastering Runeterra. Boom, $1,000 open. Be there. Be square. Exclamation mark tournament in chat. It'll pull up the links.
We're gonna be hosting it here
Be sick on my channel.
on Majin's channel. We've got a freaking esports stadium doing our production, so like we'll have hand in hand this time. We'll have recorded matches, so that'll be kind of like
Ooh.
non-stop sort of action.
Alright.
It's gonna be good.
Real talk. How many dollars will it take to have you guys plug Runeterra memes every hour?
Yeah, he's willing to sponsor now.
Oh no, is this our first sponsor opportunity?
Yeah, we'll
Live on
have
stream.
to discuss. You know, we have a call with not Red Bull later, so we'll see if we can squeeze you in.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Well,
Cheers.
All right,
gonna
thanks
do
for
it.
hanging
Hey,
out.
boys.
Yeah.
Thanks
That
for
was a good
listening.
one.
Later, man.
have a good one.
See you next week.
Peace.